Cricket is back. I mean, cricket was there, but Indian cricketers have been sitting and waiting in the wings for quite some time. And finally, IPL is starting this Saturday with a repeat of last year's final and also a matchup between the best two franchises, at least when you are looking at the records. 7 championships between them. It's Mumbai against Chennai Super Kings. So Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings will be locking horn to start off the 13th edition of IPL. But here we are taking a look at the strongest player from each team. I mean the player potentially who could take their team to the finals or maybe even win it. Only a fool would bet against the Chennai Super Kings. Even last year, when there were comments saying that they were an aging side, but on the other side, they had plenty of experience, and also Mahendra Singh Dhoni had his tactics to actually bring out a few surprises. But this time, all the odds looks completely stacked against the Chennai Super Kings, because if you're at least looking on paper, the team has a lot of potholes. I mean, it's not looking like the strongest side, or maybe, dare I say, Chennai Super Kings is looking like one of the weakest side in this year's IPL. And also, I think Suresh Raina missing the IPL, Harbhajan Singh not there. Will that be a factor? Well, let's actually take a look at those players available and let's see who is their strongest player. If you are looking at the batting of Chennai Super Kings, you will have to dig into players like Shane Watson is a name that comes up to actually be the strongest. He could be potentially the strongest batsman in their side who could lead them in batting. And as far as Mahendra Singh Dhoni is concerned, and the little bit which we have seen from the videos from their training grounds, he is just in one single mode, which is the attack mode. He is just blasting the balls. But will he be able to do that through the entirety of the tournament? Needs to be seen. But I think they will have some tricks up their sleeves because they will need it, because the squad is not the strongest that Chennai's team that we have seen over the years. Even in their bowling, I think their best bowler will have to be either Deepak Chahar or Lunki Ngidi, but I would pick Dwayne Bravo to be their spearhead when it comes to their bowling. So that is actually kind of a weakness, because we're looking at players from the Esther years like Shane Watson, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Dwayne Bravo and the likes to be their best players. And let's pick the best player. I think Shane Watson would be their leader in batting and Dwayne Bravo should be leading their bowling attack. And in general, the strongest player in the Chennai Super Kings team is Ravi Jadeja. Now, Ravindra Jadeja could come out with one or two brilliant knocks during the IPL, but over the years he hasn't been consistent throughout the series. But now is the time when Ravindra Jadeja will have to step up if Chennai has any chance to make it to the last four. Chennai Super Kings, or let's say Mahendra Singh Dhoni, has this unique ability to take a 40 to 50% potential player and make him to a 80 to 90% delivering player. I mean, someone like Mohit Sharma, for example, was brilliant when he was playing under MSD. So one thing is for sure, there will be plenty of new players who will be playing in a different capacity, one which we haven't seen before even in domestic or international stages. I mean, that's a capacity, that's a speciality of MSD and his team. But I think Ruturaj Gaikwad could be the X factor in this Chennai Super Kings side. He's a very good player, his balance is very nice, and it looks like almost that he has modeled his batting on Virat Kohli, which is not a bad thing. But having said that, is this team good enough to actually win the tournament this time? I don't think so. Delhi Capitals is the next side, and they look like a very well balanced side with a plethora of Indian talent. I mean, they added Shikhar Dhawan and Ajinkya Rahane to their squad. If Shikhar Dhawan can handle the pressure at the top of the innings, that would give enormous confidence to the youngsters which Delhi has. I mean, the Prithvi Shaws, the Rishabh Pants, they are all Indian internationals, so make no mistake about the talent that they have. But Shikhar Dhawan taking a lead in their batting department would give so much confidence to the youngsters. And if anything goes wrong, they have players like Ajinkya Rahane who has the capacity to steady the ship. But I think the batting is looking solid and so is their bowling, because again they have Ravichandran Ashwin and players like Rabada who could extract maximum juice out of the pitches that UAE has to offer. And most of the experts are saying that, at least with the second half of the tournament, the pitches in UAE could be very, very slow and the spinners will come in handy. In that case, maybe Ravichandran Ashwin will be looking to make a statement. So I would guess Shikhar Dhawan in their batting department and Ravichandran Ashwin to lead their bowling department. But who is the best player that they have? They have plenty of youngsters who are firebrand, but I think their captain Shreyas Iyer has shown enough maturity to even make the number 4 slot in the Indian side he saw. He was good for India in the last couple of seasons. And who could be that X factor with the Delhi side? I was looking at Lamichhane, but Marcus Stoinis could be that player, because if the pitches in UAE is gonna get slow, you will need those raw muscles, because when the ball is not coming nicely onto the bat, the timing factor will become a question, and those with raw power and who can muscle the ball out of the ground will become key. And Marcus Stoinis is definitely a man with plenty of hard-hitting muscles. So I think he will be an X factor for the Delhi Capitals side. On to the Kings 11 from Punjab, one franchise which has not had a great run in this IPL in the previous seasons. But maybe they would be thinking that last time when the game actually happened in UAE, a little portion of that, they had a fantastic season. They reached the finals and they were looking like one of the best sides of 2014 edition. And they would be really hoping to emulate that success. Now, who is their best player? Make no mistake, there's only one name that comes to the fore when we are looking at the Kings 11 Punjab side, and let's say this guy is their strongest player. He is their captain. He could also be their wicket keeper. KL Rahul would love to make a statement that he can keep the wickets, he can also take the pressure of the captaincy and also lead the team when it comes to some good, brilliant notes. I think KL Rahul is definitely the strongest player from Kings 11 Punjab. But other than that, who is going to lead them in batting? There are Indian internationals like Mayank Agarwal, but I would say the Nicholas Pooran factor is something amazing. The West Indies keeper is also a keeping option for Kings 11. Nicholas Pooran is a hard hitter, and when he hits a ball, it's actually a sight to behold. And in spin department as well, they have a youngster called Ravi Bishnoi, but he is not tested enough in that level of the game. Murugan Ashwin is another player who could come good, but I would think Mohammad Shami would be leading their bowling attack. So Nicholas Pooran to lead them in batting, Mohammad Shami to lead them in bowling, and KL Rahul is their best, the strongest player Kings 11 Punjab has. But who will be the X factor? It has to be Sarfaraz Khan. He had an amazing domestic season this year, and taking confidence from the domestic season that he had, I think Sarfaraz Khan is almost on the verge of comeback and make his statement strong to be considered even for the Team India colours. I think Sarfaraz Khan is going to have a good IPL. Now to the 2 times champions and the team with the most passionate of fans. Kolkata Knight Riders will definitely miss the vibe and crowd from the Eden Gardens, but they look like a very good side. I mean, their batting is pretty neat, their bowling is well balanced, and they have some massive match winners in their ranks. So who could lead them in batting? And first name that comes to my mind is Eoin Morgan. Yes, we have some Indian talents like Nitish Rana who would actually shoulder that responsibility, but Eoin Morgan, the kind of form and the hitting capacity that he has, could come in really handy for the Kolkata Knight Riders, and that attitude could also brush off in the younger players and the way they deal in the 20 overs format. So I think Eoin Morgan is going to be their leader when it comes to batting, and when it comes to bowling, again it's an interesting choice. Their pace attack is led by one of the best in the world in Pat Cummins, and they could be boosted with 2 extremely talented Indian talents in the ranks. I'm not sure how much of game time will Shivam Mavi and Kamlesh Nagarkoti get this time, but I would love to see both these youngsters have a go at the best. Varun Chakravarti could be a good backup to Kuldeep Yadav and also Sunil Narayan, and the way Sunil Narayan bowls is going to be very crucial. I think top of the order when it comes to bat, it's straightforward. Bang! That's it. he will be able to handle that pretty well, Sunil Narayan. He's in the team not for his batting, he's in the team for his bowling skills. And I think whenever Narayan has done extremely well, the team to beat was Kolkata Knight Riders. So I think they would be looking at the bowling figures from Sunil Narayan. But I would still believe Kuldeep Yadav could be their ace when it comes to the bowling, especially in the slower pitches that UAE could throw at you. And let's come to the strongest player that they have. It's Andre Russell. Andre Russell could clearly win you 6 to 7 matches all by himself. And that makes him deadly dangerous. And it's a strong lad. He could just change the game or the mood and flow of the game in about like 2 hours time. The entire picture could change. That is Andre Russell. And who is the X factor? They have a player called Shubman Gill. And he's considered a huge asset for Team India as well. And how good a season can Shubman Gill pull off this year needs to be seen. The defending champions and the most successful team in IPL with 4 titles, Mumbai Indians was the easiest to pick because, well, I think Hardik Pandya is their strongest player. The captain Rohit Sharma is one of the most feared batsmen in the world. He will lead them in batting and Jasprit Bumrah will be their ace when it comes to bowling. So their roles are well defined in the team and the consistency of their team will also give that boost an extra edge because they know each other pretty well in Mumbai Indians. And who could be the X factor? I would think Quinton de Kock and the form that he carries is definitely going to be a big boost for the Mumbai Indians. It was a straightforward choice. Rohit Sharma with the bat, Jasprit Bumrah with the ball and their strongest player Hardik Pandya. And now to a tricky one, Rajasthan Royals. I mean, that's one team which has never the favourites to win any edition of the IPL. But to everyone's surprise, they won it the first time around under the leadership of Shane Warne. And from then on, Rajasthan Royals has some magic attached to them that, at least they're a likable team, right? So without much beating around the bush, and I'm gonna leave Sanju Samson aside, I don't want to jinx the young man. But still, Steven Smith should be their best in batting. And Steven Smith is an underrated T20 player because he has had some good success in T20 level as well, but he is looked upon as his one-day and test great. But I think Steven Smith will have a good season for the Rajasthan Royals and will leave the responsibility from the front. And who will take that responsibility when it comes to their bowling? Now that's the weakness that Rajasthan Royals has, because if they have to go deep and reach the last 4, their batters has to do good because their bowling is not one of the best in the league. Jaydev Unadkat could be the spearhead when it comes to the pace bowling department because he has matured a lot in the last few years, especially with the season they had for Ranji Trophy. Unadkat is a much improved player. He's a more intelligent bowler as well. But I think still the pace and the aggressiveness of Jofra Archer could be their leading factor when it comes to their bowling department. And they will have to depend upon a few lesser established players when it comes to the spin department, and that is definitely a chink in the armor. With Steven Smith to lead them in batting and Jofra Archer to be their main lead bowler, I would think Josh Butler is gonna be their best player. He looks like the strongest player that they have. And when he gets going and if he can have a very consistent season, it's going to be great for the Rajasthan Royals because Josh Butler, the way he has developed over the last few years, he has focused a lot on aggressive batting and also on consistent performances. And if he can come out with at least 8 or 9 big innings, then that's going to be good enough for the Rajasthan Royals to make it to the playoffs. And who is going to be their X factor? I think Yashasvi Jaiswal is a name that India is looking forward to. His story is almost filmy, a fairy tale story kind of, and he's a very good player. His hitting arc is actually very nice. The left-hander has a neat, clean, slog sweep in his armory. But he was not tested against the best bowlers in the world, and this IPL could very well be his test and how well he handles the top bowlers from the world. But again, the X factor, even after having Yashasvi Jaiswal in the ranks, I would say I'm going with a veteran, Robin Uthappa. Is this the season that the Bengaluru side is going to win the IPL finally? Well, it very well could be, because if you are looking at the team, RCB is a well balanced and they are an explosive team under the captaincy of Virat Kohli, of course. And let's start with the obvious. Virat Kohli is definitely the strongest player in the RCB unit. And from their training videos, it was obvious that they were having a lot of fun. Now, from the best player, which is obviously Virat Kohli, let's talk about who could be the other batsman who could be the leader from their batting department. The first name that obviously comes to your mind is AB de Villiers, but I think Aaron Finch could be the player who could lead them in their batting department, especially coming out as an opener. We have seen countless times that he has done very well for the Australian side, and he's also the captain of the Australian T20 side. So I think that experience, that confidence and that explosiveness, along with the factor that he doesn't have to worry about the captaincy, he can just come out and express as a pure batsman, that would be doing good for Aaron Finch, and he would be having a good season. And if he has a very good season, then maybe Virat Kohli coming in and AB de Villiers coming in, RCB will be putting up some huge totals for everyone's entertainment. And they have a very well balanced bowling unit as well. They have Umesh Yadav, they have Dale Steyn, Navdeep Saini, the upcoming Indian pacer, and their spin department is also not bad. They have Washington Sundar and they have another Indian international in Yuzvendra Chahal, who I think would be their leader when it comes to their bowling department goes. So I think Virat Kohli, their best player, Aaron Finch to be leading them in batting, and Yuzvendra Chahal in their bowling department. But who is that X factor? Who could be the X factor? It's a batsman, their local homegrown boy, Devdutt Padikkal. He has already made his name in the domestic circuit with some brilliant performance in the Ranji Trophy and the likes, and he could be trying to cement his place among the greats with a brilliant season for RCB. But yes, this side is very well balanced and should be making it to the playoffs of IPL this time. Last but not the least, to the Sunrisers from Hyderabad. Year after year, the performances that David Warner has put up for the team Sunrisers Hyderabad is a big factor in their success in the recent years. And he would again be leading them in their batting, and they will have good support in Johnny Bairstow, and we'll also be looking at Manish Pandey and the other players from the Indian contingent to actually boost their side. And when it comes to their bowling department, Rashid Khan and Bhuvneshwar Kumar is a pretty handy combination, right? And Bhuvneshwar Kumar should be taking in the responsibility of leading their bowling attack. But they will also be looking for a very strong season from Vijay Shankar in the all-rounds department. But who is their strongest player? Yes, I am picking Mohammad Nabi over David Warner to be the best and the strongest player from the Sunrisers team, because he is good with the bat, especially in the T20 format. And he's pretty neat and mean with the ball as well. And he could be, if he's having a consistent season, he was having a good season even in the Caribbean. And with that performance and confidence, Mohammad Nabi would be the player for Sunrisers Hyderabad. And their X factor, I had this urge to go with Vijay Shankar, but I'm picking Fabian Allen. Fabian Allen is not a batsman with a 360-degree game or something, but he has the hitting capacity, especially when it comes to hitting the ball straight out of the park. Fabian Allen could well come in handy in the conditions. Given that T20 is a game, and especially with the pitches getting a little slow, the muscles and the hitting capacity of Fabian Allen could be the X factor for Sunrisers Hyderabad. Now, I would love to hear from you guys, so please comment your thoughts on the players that I've picked, the best, strongest player from each franchise, and also the X factor. Do you agree with me or disagree with me? Please feel free to write about your thoughts in the comment section below. And we'll also be looking into more IPL videos as the season progresses. The hype before the game, when you get to talk about the favorite games and your favorite teams and your players, it's actually pretty good fun, right? Looking forward to this Saturday when Chennai takes on Mumbai. So the IPL season is getting underway. Can't wait. So catch you next time. Until then,